Welcome to the Clear the Shelf podcast with Chris and Chris, the show that meets at the intersection of education and entertainment to discuss online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, and all facets of selling on Amazon. We'll bring you news, tactics, strategies, insights, stories, and interviews to help you grow your Amazon business. And now, here are your hosts, Chris Grant and Chris Racing. What's up, Amazon sellers, and welcome back to the Clear the Shelf podcast with myself and my scoptophobic co-host, Chris Racing. Today, we've got Sarah with us. You may know her as Arbitrage Avenue on Instagram or Twitter. She also runs the Walmart Sellers Network group on Facebook and is co-owner of the Sellers Network, which is a Discord group for sellers of all stripes. And she's the new account influencer for Walmart. And all of that is a mouthful. But Sarah takes what I like to call a portfolio approach to income stream. She sells on Amazon, Walmart, eBay. She talked about doing some liquidation. She also is in the Amazon influencer program. She's a TikTok affiliate. She does UGC, or what you may know as user generated content for brands. And I believe that your husband does a little bit of that as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. That I'm going to want to dive down that rabbit hole a little bit because
Sure.
when my son came up to him and said, "Hey, how tall are you?" He said, "I'm 5 feet 22 inches."
Yeah,
So he's a tall guy, and that's got to be kind of interesting. So
definitely.
I know this sounds like a lot to cover in one show, but we're going to do our best and figure out how Sarah manages to handle all of these different income streams and get some tips on what's working for her today. But before we get started, you guys know the drill. This show is not free. We take minutes to prepare for each and every episode. So if you get something out of this show, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe wherever you might be listening, or drop us a quick comment. The only way we can grow this show is by showing the platforms that you're interested and want to hear more. And the best way to do that is to get you interacting. And of course, we'll keep bringing some education and some really great guests each and every week. All right, let's dive in. Sarah, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And it was great to see you in Florida again.
Yes, thanks for having me. Thank you for hosting that meetup as well.
Well, it was all my wife. I'd love to take some credit, but I don't deserve it.
She was amazing.
So we always like to set the table a little bit. Can you kind of tell us like what got you started selling on eBay or Amazon? What got you into e-commerce?
So, my e-commerce journey actually started in 2006 when I started my eBay account. I would go to garage sales or estate sales were my favorite, and flip items that I thought I might be able to turn a profit on. I did that actually for 3 years. And then once once I got into full-time working, left that and kind of forgot about it until 10 years later. It was 2019. I had my son was in elementary school, my daughter was in middle school, and I found myself just missing out on the little moments, not the big things, but like volunteering in their classroom or going on the field trips or taking them to basketball practice, just those little moments that really add up to big memories. So I decided I was going to leave my job. Funds were going to be tight, but hubby and I sat down and we decided it was worth it. So I left in June of 2019. And then I actually came across Amazon FBA in a Facebook group as I was kind of looking for a side hustle because I loved being home with the kids, but I also missed bringing in income for the family. And I already knew that eBay was an option, but I wanted to try something new. So found Amazon, kind of dove into that a little. That first year, I kind of suffered from what we call analysis paralysis. It was really hard for some reason. I think it was the lack of income that we had. We were on such a tight budget. It was hard for me to invest into something I was kind of unsure of. Um, but that's how I started on e-commerce. And once I got rolling, it was a year later. I remember going on a small vacation with my family thinking, we're not going to be able to do this again. This was a vacation we had prepaid before I came home. And I knew if I didn't bring in more money, we weren't going to be able to do basketball camps. We weren't going to be able to go on vacations. And that's a part of your child's, growing up that you want to be involved in. So when we got back from that trip, I remember telling JR, my husband, I'm going to jump into this Amazon thing full time and I'm going to do it by myself and we're going to see where it goes. And I remember it started in my living room and I had these ridiculous items that I was flipping. And just my kids were helping me pack. And I just said, yeah, this someday, like this is going to blow up. It has to work. I want to stay home. So the rest was history.
That's awesome. You mentioned something that I actually, when we sat down around the Thanksgiving table this year, it was what I was thankful for. Those in between moments.
Aw.
Seinfeld calls it garbage time. It's my favorite thing. Just standing over the counter and the kids are eating a bowl of cereal late at night, and you just talk about something. Or I guess one of my favorite things that I get to do, being stay at home dad essentially, is like this morning I got to take my son to school, and I was talking so much, explaining a book I'm reading to him, that he was finally like, "Dad, that's a lot. Can you please stop?" And like I know it's silly, but that's something I'm going to remember, and I love it.
I feel like conversations in the car, especially, is when your kids really open up to you and you just end up with the best conversations. It's that travel time.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, we have about 20 minutes when I pick up my older daughter that we have to wait for the youngest daughter to get out. And that's absolutely right. You have some conversations and stuff that you can't imagine coming up organically in the house. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny when I quit my day job and went full-time e-commerce. I it was in the middle of my son's basketball season. It was his senior year of high school, and I went to every single game from that period on. Like the day I quit. And that's it's hard to explain, but it was so special to me.
Yeah.
And it was one of the moments on the personal side that kind of everything sinks in. The value of having your time and the benefits of this lifestyle and this profession. Um, Similar to that, that's on the personal side. On the professional side, there are also moments that kind of make everything sink in. So I'm curious, what was there a light bulb moment? Was there a favorite flip, or a certain product that you sold that kind of made the light bulb go off and say, okay, this can actually work?
Hey, Amazon sellers, are you tired of juggling multiple tools to manage your FBA business? Well, say goodbye to the chaos and hello to Boxum, the all in one software that streamlines your shipments, inventory, and profitability tracking in just a few clicks. With Boxum, you'll cut your shipment time in half, gain real time insights into your business, and keep your inventory under control, all from one simple, intuitive dashboard. Don't waste time. Try Boxum today and take your Amazon FBA game to the next level. Check it out over at cleartheshelf.com/Boxum and start your 14-day free trial now.
I believe it was December of 2019. So right as I was brand new, I the flip or the chase for Christmas that year was that they were like those mini verse toys. It was like a ball and they had those tiny little figures. Um I remember I took my son who was in 4th grade at the time and we went to Walmart and we found these and I was like, "Okay, we're going to go all in. We're going to buy 20." This is a big deal, right? So we bought our 20 and he helped bag it and he was really excited about it. We got home, we listed them and they sold within seconds, like gone. And I was just thinking, okay, so 20 was big to me and they're gone in seconds. Imagine what if I would have bought the whole display? Like that really would add up. You're making like 15, 20 bucks on each one. So that was definitely a light bulb moment for me. And that was early on. It still took me some time because I didn't jump in full time until September of 2020. It still took me a little while to have those little wins before I really felt comfortable diving completely in. But there were other instances along the way. I mean, we had flips of I've sold pallets of coffee in that time. There was that chlorine. shortage, and of course squishmallows. There's been lots of chases along the way, but that first one was really eye opening to me, where I thought 20 was just amazing, and eventually I'm buying hundreds and sometimes thousands of items. So
Was
It's
kind of
funny how that
a
works. It's
yeah, right. That was kind of a good time to, I mean, as good of a time as it could have been. That was a good time to get into selling on the internet. There were
definitely.
everyone was home, everyone was collecting something new. People were like the chlorine shortages, and everyone was baking bread. Like everything had this little cycle.
It really did.
I remember when even sidewalk chalk was going for insane prices. Like
mhm.
it just seemed like you couldn't miss.
Hmm.
So you're having success on Amazon, but what is it that made you decide to kind of take this portfolio approach, for lack of a better term, and start selling on multiple platforms?
Sure. So, when I went full time Amazon, I went in really hard and I was doing seven figures every year. And I ended up with a large death pile, is what we call it. And eBay just wasn't enough volume to move those items. What was happening was I was buying so much for Amazon that a couple times Amazon actually came in stock on items that I was flipping. Specifically, this doll. I remember ordering hundreds of this doll. Um, Wholesale, and I needed another way to move this doll, and people were starting to talk a little bit about Walmart. So I opened up my Walmart account, and it was so different back then than it is now. Started They only had seller fulfilled. So I was seller fulfilling this doll out of my garage, and that kind of just led to the multiple platforms. It was more eyes on the same product. Um, an Amazon customer and a Walmart customer, especially back then, were very different. So you were reaching more customers by doing the same thing that I was already doing. So it was kind of just an expansion of what I was already selling online, and just it got me more sales and I was able to move through those products quicker.
So having multiple channels, um, so you kind of discover them through a necessity and inventory demands and whatnot. So then once you have all these platforms available to you, how do you decide what product gets listed on what platform and or which products go multi-channel? How do you manage that part of it?
So for me now, it's a little different than it was back then. Back then was kind of hit and miss, see what moved. Now I use ScanPower. So when I'm out specifically for RA, let's say, and I scan an item, you can toggle in between Walmart and Amazon. So I can essentially source both platforms at one time. And if it looks good on Amazon and it looks good on Walmart, I'm going to sell on both. Maybe it only works on Walmart, doesn't work on Amazon, then I'll just shoot it to Walmart. eBay is a lot of my returns, or I do liquidations. So I can do lots on eBay, or kind of bulk sell my returns or my bad buys. So I don't normally source specifically for eBay. It's more of an opportunity to get rid of what's sitting around the warehouse. But the other two platforms I can source at the same time. So if I can sell on both, then I'm definitely going to do that.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, so you've mentioned ScanPower, and one of the big complaints is that Walmart doesn't have all the tools that are available for Amazon, which I mean makes sense. It's not as mature of a platform.
Yep.
So when you're sourcing both Amazon and Walmart, what is it specifically for Walmart that lets you know, hey, this is going to be a good product. I know it's selling, and I know I can make a profit.
Yeah, so with Walmart, they definitely have their data on lockdown. They keep it close to the chest. So you have to learn kind of what to look for. And it reminded me a lot of what it was like when I started on eBay in 2006. I mean, I wasn't selling brand new items, but I had to use my experience, and I had to look for brands and categories that I was already familiar in. So with Amazon, or I'm sorry, with Walmart, for the longest time, a couple years, I would use their shopping app and scan an item. First thing I'm going to look for is there any profit? Something I love about Walmart is the fees are very simple, so you don't need all of these tools to kind of know what you're going to make. You've got your referral fee, which is 15% worst case scenario, and then a fulfillment fee, which is based on size. Most items are under $6. So right there, I just needed my calculator on my phone and then the shop app. So I would scan something, again, look for profit. Does it have any reviews? Are those reviews organic reviews? Walmart offers a lot of incentives to give reviews on products. So you want to stay away from those. You want to look for the real reviews from customers. Just like Amazon, I mean, we learn in the OA challenge, one review is like 100 sales. So I don't know how that equates on Walmart, but that's something I would look for. Are there at least reviews this year? Because I feel like reviews are a lot less on Walmart than Amazon. And then I'll look for, are there other sellers on it? Specifically, are there already sellers selling it Walmart fulfilled? I feel like a lot of us test buy, which you have to do on Walmart. So if someone has already done that test and they're selling it Walmart fulfilled, that just gives me a little bit more indication that it's probably a good flip. And then over the years, I've come to recognize specific sellers that seem to always be on the good listings. So I'll look for their names as well. So yeah, it's just kind of all of that in one. When I'm in the store, I'm just analyzing really quick. And I mean, we teach on Amazon go wide, right? Well, on Walmart, go wider and go a lot more shallow. A test buy could be three of something, because you could send it in and it might not move, or maybe it errors out on you. So you're going to definitely be testing lots of categories, lots of brands, and you'd be surprised what moves on Walmart.
Interesting. And the one big thing I heard out of there is storefront stalking seems to work across all platforms, not just Amazon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now you use the phrase already, analysis paralysis. So I'm curious with Walmart, it seems like not that on Amazon we're ever like really sure, or confidence levels never 100, even on Amazon, but it sounds like the ceiling's even lower, or that percentage of certainty is certainly lower on Walmart. So how did you get if I'm not saying you're prone to analysis paralysis, but you're not a stranger to it since you mentioned it.
Definitely.
How do you manage a level, best case scenario being a level of certainty far less than Amazon? How did you get over that, if that makes sense?
Um, Practice makes perfect, I guess. For
Yeah.
me, I definitely started slow. So like those dolls, for instance, I did that for a few months just to get an idea of what it looked like to even sell on Walmart. And then I would do clearance only. I didn't want to invest a lot of money into the platform, especially because it was so new and unfamiliar to everyone. So I did a lot of clearance flips, a lot of brands that I couldn't sell on Amazon that were in the clearance aisle. I would pick those up and then sell them on Walmart. So eventually, over the years, I just kind of slowly um, created this database of items I knew moved or brands that I knew moved. I've always sold a lot of toys. Toys do really well on Walmart. So it was familiar to me. So a lot of it was just my experience that gave me the proof of concept, I guess, to go deeper. Um, and then also, I don't know, those spidey senses. It just happens. The longer you resell, you just kind of have that gut instinct that you know that this is going to move, and it's not really an issue for me anymore. I can look at something and go all in and have confidence that that item is going to move.
Nice. Yeah, that's a testament to no matter what platform you're on. That screams just get your reps in. Everything
Mhm.
will
Right,
make
right.
more sense, and you'll be a better business owner, just doing as many reps as possible. So,
Yep.
um, eh, Walmart is it's the new shiny object, right?
Yeah.
Um, for multiple reasons. Now a lot of the conversation, a lot of the context that you see related to Walmart and selling on Walmart on social media and whatnot is reactionary. And it's kind of sour grapes towards Amazon. I'm taking my ball and I'm going to Walmart kind of thing.
Yeah.
You discovered it. You were more proactive, right? Because you needed the outlet, and you saw the opportunity. So, which in like I said, is kind of a unique perspective when you're reading about selling on Walmart. Um, can we talk about the pros and cons, strengths and
Oh, sure.
weaknesses on Walmart? What do you think? what is it about Walmart um, besides just being brand new and first step in the greener grass? What strengths does Walmart have over Amazon?
So right off the bat, lower competition. I remember last Q4, I did a post on this. I had scanned a board, like a game from Ollie's, and I did a side by side comparison. There were over 100 sellers on Amazon on this game from Ollie's, and then on Walmart there were 12. And 12 was a lot back Q4 to have sellers on a listing. So competition is still very low. What I like about Walmart is the simplicity of the fees, which I mentioned earlier. It's very easy to understand how much you're going to make. Except what I don't see a lot of, well, I'll keep going with the pros before I talk about the negatives. Um, the shipping, so if you do WFS, sending in items is so inexpensive. I mean, we've got like 30 cents a pound, and we're sending all the way to Texas from Michigan. So that right there is a huge savings. They have what's called a pro seller badge, and if you earn that badge, you save even more on shipping and listing. So the opportunity to make a profit is definitely there. You don't have to sell a lot. You don't have to have a lot of sales to make a nice income on Walmart. I think I love that too because it just feels more relaxed to me once you get used to it. At first, definitely not.
Thank you for listening to the Clear the Shelf podcast. My magnanimous co-host Chris Rasick has put together a gift for you for being a listener. It's called the Monthly Goal Tracking Spreadsheet, and it's free. The spreadsheet will help you break down and track how much you've purchased, which should be a leading indicator of how much you will sell, and then you'll be able to track how much you've sold as well as your estimated monthly profit on a daily basis. This will all feed into the daily averages so you can ensure that you're on track to meet your goals each and every month. Grab it for free today over at cleartheshelf.com/goal-tracking. Thanks again for being a listener. Now back to the show.
I love RA for Walmart, so I do a lot of RA, and I really feel like RA flips on Walmart. That's where it's at. I mean, OA works. I do OA. I know a lot of people that do wholesale, but RA, it's just something about that item already, especially if it's a Walmart item. They move. They're easy flips, and you can just go right into Walmart and flip back on Walmart. It's so easy. So especially for newbies, I just think there's a lot of opportunity to succeed without having to go through that analysis paralysis like I did and kind of try to reach out to all these different brands or online sites or stores. You can start in Walmart, flip on Walmart, and make a nice income. So that's the pros for me for sure.
Okay, and I want to talk about the weaknesses too.
Sure.
What's the weak part of Walmart? Just so the people going over there thinking it's
Oh yeah.
going to be a huge relief from the terror that is Amazon. What's the reality check for those sellers?
So obviously the data, right? You have to do a lot of testing. That right there takes time and you have to put the reps in, like you said. Um, there's not a lot of seller protections on Walmart. I don't hear this talked about much, but if I send an item seller fulfilled to a customer, they can be like, well, it was lost after delivery, and they're going to get refunded. And I'm going to actually pay for that item to be shipped back to me. So there are risks involved. There are no protections. Like with Amazon, if you ship through Amazon shipping and something happens along the way, you're protected there, right? Well, with Walmart, you're not. And if you're not making a nice profit margin on each item, one return is going to eat that up. So, right there, that's a huge negative for me. The interface can be clunky, it can be frustrating. You have to add your items, seller fulfilled for now, and then convert WFS or try to convert WFS bulk right off the top. But you get errors, it's time consuming. It's a different kind of customer in general. I mean, there are a lot of great customers on Walmart, but there's some scams that are happening. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. It definitely has its weaknesses for sure. And I think the more the the more sellers are honest about those, especially in social media, I would like to see more of the honesty, I guess. So That's where I'm at right now with negatives, but I could probably think of some more. Oh, reporting. It's really hard to pull reports on Walmart and kind of know your numbers. So be careful what you're seeing out there because a lot of sellers don't know their numbers on Walmart. So it's not all grass is greener on the other side type of thing. So
Is Are there any good tools or softwares to maybe help someone who wants to just dip their toes ever so slightly to cross list from Amazon to Walmart rather than, test things on Walmart, or is that a big no-no?
there there are softwares. I had a really bad experience with one, so I shy away from that, especially on the platforms. So a lot of those softwares match UPC to UPC, but you might have an item with a UPC on Amazon that doesn't necessarily match the item on Walmart with the same UPC. So when I tried the cross listing, what was happening is I might have it in my store as a Barbie, Walmart might have it as a bottle of soap. So the customer's ordering soap and getting a Barbie. So that leads to a lot of returns and cancellations. And I actually got my account shut down because of that whole thing early on. Um, so there's nothing out there that I'm aware of that could recommend, but they definitely do exist.
You said you got your account shut down, so that gives us a nice little rabbit trail to go down. There is a way back from getting an account deactivation over on Walmart, correct?
Yes, there definitely is.
Okay. What does that process look like, and how is it different from? Have you gone through your Section 3 on Amazon yet?
No, but I feel like
No.
I just got jinxed.
Oh no, no, no.
No, I haven't.
How is an account deactivation work on Walmart?
So you have metrics on Walmart that you have to be mindful of. One of them is cancellations, shipping returns. Another one is communicating with your customer. And in my instance, it was the cancellations that hurt me, and I hit the 0% and got shut down. So you get a letter and they'll tell you why they closed your account temporarily. And then you have the opportunity to submit a plan of action. And in my case, it was, I'm not going to cancel orders. And then I just explained I was trying out this new software, it didn't work. Here's what happened. And then I had to provide all of my receipts for the items that were canceled because they wanted to verify that I wasn't drop shipping. Walmart is very anti drop shipping, so that was the biggest thing for them. And then my account, they accepted it. I got my account back up and running, but my metrics were still bad. So within like 7 days, one of the bots picked up my bad metrics and I got shut down again for the same reason. And this time it took them like 30 days to get back to me, but I did get my account back. Metrics had improved by then over time and haven't had an issue since,
Great.
but it does exist for sure.
Yeah. That's something that we don't hear talked about very much, on Amazon, and maybe that's just because so few people have been on the platform long enough for that to happen quite yet.
Yep.
So
I've definitely received some messages. People, I mean, it's happening, especially with
mhm,
shipping. But yeah, I feel like all the sellers are so new. Some don't even know that that's a thing. So it's a
absolutely.
thing.
So I wanna switch gears just a little bit because there's another shiny object that's out there, well, a couple actually, and it's AIP or Amazon Influencer Program. It's TikTok affiliate, and some people are doing TikTok shops,
Mhm.
and then of course there are people who are talking about UGC or user generated content, and you just happen to do all three. So, how did you get into those programs?
So I joined Amazon Influencer Program. It'll be 2 years this upcoming March. Again, so for me, I'm huge into networking. I mentioned it earlier. And this was something I was introduced to by another seller at the time and had no idea what I was doing, but applied, got approved, did my 3 videos, and tried to figure it out from there. And eventually, I was able to meet more people that were doing the influencer program and kind of figured out really how you're supposed to do it and how you scale on that program. Um, but the same thing for UGC and TikTok Shop affiliate, it's all from other people that I talk to that are trying new things. With AIP specifically, once you get into it used to be harder to get into what's called creator connections, and it's basically this portal where Amazon allows brands to work with you specifically to provide samples of items, and then you make the video, and then you get higher commissions on those videos for a certain amount of time. So that creator connections introduces you to brands. And then that eventually, for me, led to brand direct opportunities. So, like for instance, there's a clothing brand that sends me a number of items of clothing I can choose each month in exchange for the videos and then a higher commission. Um, I don't get paid specifically for those videos, but I get the AIP commissions and free clothing. So that eventually just kind of led from one thing to the other. As far as TikTok Shop and UGC, a friend of mine was starting TikTok Shop affiliate and was like, "Hey, why don't we do this together and we'll bounce ideas off each other?" So at the time, you had to have 10,000 followers on TikTok. Well, I didn't have 10,000 followers, and you could purchase accounts. So we both purchased accounts, started it. Well, TikTok eventually did like a sweep and got rid of the purchased accounts. So I lost my first account, had to start all over with my like actual Arbitrage Avenue account and got in with 1,000 followers this time. So again, it's just engagement on both platforms. But that actually led me to someone that was offering a UGC course. And I was curious and I took that. And that just opened up my eyes completely to the opportunity of working with brands directly, and that led me to Fiverr and Upwork, and that's where my husband, is having success is through Fiverr. He works with brands weekly, and that's probably my favorite because it's just you and the brand. There's no social media involved.
Nice.
So, can you explain UGC to me like I'm a boomer because that might be what I am.
I feel you.
That-
I
That's
do.
one thing I'm
I
not
get
too
it.
familiar with.
So, user generated content. So, basically, in a nutshell, the brand is paying you for authentic content that they can advertise either on their socials or maybe their website. So, you'll make a video about an item. They'll send it to you ahead of time and you can talk about its features or try it so that you can give your real opinion. And then they'll send that video out into social media world and put ad behind it. So it's pushing, farther to all of its viewers. But customers are looking for authentic content right now. Like, yes, we all have our favorite celebrities, but if I'm going to purchase something for my children, I don't really necessarily care if a celebrity says that it's great. I want to see a mom that's actually using it and what she thinks. And I think brands are just really realizing that, and they pay very good money for you to hold that product and talk about it. Hopefully that helps.
Interesting. Yeah. So basically, the brand holds the piece of content and they distribute it as they see fit.
Yeah.
Is that
If you give
accurate?
them the usage rights, not everything involves giving them the usage rights of your video. I have plenty of brands that pay me to create a Amazon influencer video.
Oh, okay. So the
So
two.
it's really whatever level you're looking for. There's so many. You can have retainers with brands where they might pay you a couple thousand a month to make a certain number of videos.
Okay.
Interesting.
So is it like product placement? Are you like on you do a video for social media and just happen to have a bottle of Coke like in
I'm
the
not that cool
athletes
yet.
and
Now it's just
um
it centers around a specific item. Someday.
gotcha. So okay, so out of those three, some commonalities between the three of them, obviously. Is one your favorite? Does one stand out above the other?
Um, yeah, I think as far as where I want to spend more of my time coming into the new year would be UGC. The opportunity for growth is massive with that. And as much as I love reselling, there's no inventory involved and there's little to no overhead. All you need really is your camera and maybe some good lighting, and you can go to town. So my favorite is definitely UGC. I like the connection with the brands. If they like you and you like them, you can really build that relationship. And I mean, sky's the limit.
Hmm, interesting. I'm not sure that, I've got a face for radio. And so I'm not sure that anybody wants to watch me trying on clothes and walking on a treadmill or anything like that. So is there a particular type of content that works for each of these platforms, or does it need to be me, showing off my curves and things like that?
So first, with Amazon influencer program, you don't have to be in the videos at all. They can be completely faceless. You can just have your hands there holding the product, pointing out the features, or filming it in your kitchen or whatever that might be. Um, TikTok, I feel like, is the more staged of all of them because you literally have 3 seconds to grab the attention before the TikTok scroller flips to the next video. So you have to be really good at hooks, and it does help to be in your videos for TikTok Shop. It's not required, but people want to see who you are, what it is that you're using, and what does this product look like on you. Um, and then for UGC, it's both. Sometimes they just want a talking head. Sometimes they want you just to hold a product. Sometimes it's go up to somebody on the street and act like you're interviewing them. There are so many opportunities which you'd be great at because you're already doing interviews. Um, but that comment that you made, I have a face for radio. How many other people in the country have a face for radio, but they want to see them out
A
there?
lot.
Um, so don't sell yourself short because there's definitely a space for everybody in this. My husband, like we talked about, he's 6'10". There are other men that are that tall that don't want to see the average height person using, this item that's always too short for them. So it's really about finding your audience. People, they're drawn to you, and brands recognize that. We're all different.
Got to see JR get on some sort of golf sponsorship or something. Like it seems like that would be a good opportunity for a high dollar item that,
Yeah.
for tall guys.
It's funny, he did some golf TikTok shops, and the brands really liked them, so
That's great.
he's having fun with it. It's really fun to watch him take one of my crazy ideas because 'cause I'm always the one that has the crazy ideas and run with it and do really well. He's doing better than me, so
Are are all of your content ideas are like, I mean, is that just you're laying in bed at night and that's what you're thinking about, or are you watching a bunch of other content and trying to riff off of what you see works, or are you using something like AI to help you come up with multiple ideas and taking what works and maybe putting them together?
that's a great question. So I definitely do use ChatGPT to come up with scripts. I'll have them help me with the script, and especially, like, how do I start the video? It might be a talking head, and then scene 2 is the product, you zoom in on the product, and then maybe it's back to a motion of me using it. So coming up with those hooks or transitions, I love to use ChatGPT for, but then I make it my own because you have to tweak it so that it's obviously not so staged. But I do come up with a lot, most by myself. I'll put my ideas into, I mean, I call him Chad. So Chad and I have daily conversations about what it is I'm going to work on that day. Uh, and we kind of bounce ideas off each other. I sound like a crazy person, but it works. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, are you recording those videos, and are you having one of your kids edit them, or do you have a an assistant that does it for you, or are you getting in CapCut and putting all those together?
so at first, boomer, right? I didn't know how to use CapCut. Um, so my daughter, she's actually going to school for film editing. So
Oh,
she
cool.
helped me with my editing and kind of gave me some quick mom lessons, which were very quick. But I do all of my editing in CapCut right on my phone. You can use it on the browser as well. My husband prefers to use the browser version, but I do all my editing right on my phone. And another one of those practice makes perfect. So The more you do it, the easier it gets, but there's a lot you can do with CapCut Pro.
That's awesome. Now, I don't know if she's ever going to need to do a project where she needs to talk to somebody who has been in film editing, but if she ever does, you know that Alex from Tactical Arbitrage, he actually worked on the film editing for Survivor for like 10 years.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah,
That's
would be happy to throw an introduction there if
she would
she ever
love
needed
that.
it.
She loves editing. She's been doing it since elementary school. She started her own little YouTube. I wouldn't let her face be on the internet, but she did, like, vlogs. It was so cute.
That's awesome.
This is turning into an episode that my daughter can't watch, so she's gonna get too many ideas. Um,
Yeah.
that is that is a really cool trend, though. Towards authenticity, because it's absolutely true. Like what I'm reminded of that is it, I think it's Salma Hayek quote. Where she talks about all her kids like different types of pizza, right? And it starts out relatable, and then at the end she goes, "Oh, it's so frustrating for our cook." It's like and it just completely removes herself from our reality. It's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
feel bad for your in-house servant. So,
Right.
but there's something there. I mean that
Mhm.
that adds a layer to it. Um, because there's some of these celebrities, and the lives they lead. I don't believe you for 1 second that you're using that mop, or whatever you're building.
Right.
Um,
Definitely not.
yeah, and that's
Mhm.
pretty interesting. And it's interesting too, like the balance between like, okay, I need to be relatable. I need to be a peer with the audience
Mhm.
versus there does have to be some production value to it. Also, I imagine,
Yeah,
because the
definitely.
the brand probably wants, a little bit of polish, so that they can unleash this on their market.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
um, all right. So all of this stuff, you are juggling a heck of a lot. So, and Chris and I love to talk productivity, time management. So that's exactly where I'm going to go with my next question. You're juggling all these different income streams. How do you manage your time between everything?
This is something that's always a work in progress for me. Um, I'd like to start my day with my highest ROI projects. So whether that's I have to film this video because it's due today and it has this amount of money attached to it, or today's Black Friday, I need to source. It really depends on the day, but I try to start with the highest ROI um, items and then work my way down. I also like to block schedule, especially with UGC. There's a lot of reaching out to brands, follow ups, communications back and forth. So I'll block time and remove myself, go to Panera or go to some kind of coffee shop and spend couple hours doing that and only that away from distractions. I also have 3 VAs, so they help me a lot. Each one has a different platform that they take care of for me. So it's kind of a mix of all of it, but yet I also am really bad sometimes and I don't get any of my work done because I'm interrupted all day long. And I'm learning. I am a work in progress for sure. I would love to hear what works for you guys because I know you both have a lot going on too.
Uh, Do you think we look like we have it together?
Yes, I do actually.
Don't accuse me of that, ma'am. uh,
You don't think that question was so I can get the answers myself? That's not for the audience. That question was for me.
now I wish I had a good answer. I don't know. To me, I wanna use AI calendar management and I wanna do all these cool things, but I find at the end of the day, the only thing I can do is a paper, a pen, and a to-do list. I've tried to do the whole quadrant, the most important tasks, the things that you can set off to later, etc. But that never
Mhm.
worked for me. So I just make these massive lists, and then the dopamine hit from putting a little check mark next to it and crossing it out just seems to keep me going. And
Yep.
and then I'll sit in my office until I mean, all the time, for the time I get up till take the kids to school. And then after everyone goes to bed, I'll just start kicking through it. Other than that, I've not found anything that works for me, and that's probably because something's fundamentally broken. And once I figure that out, I'll be better.
I love lists. Write them out the night before. That's kind of one of my things too.
Hmm.
You know what? Probably the best tip that or the best tip that for me that hit home was actually not beating myself up over not getting something done.
Hmm.
Coming to the realization that we're self-employed, and there's really no protocols. Like we left the corporate world, which and we left a lot of structure behind. But we have a certain amount of our jobs are almost infinite, as far as like profit and whatnot. So and then we have a tendency to think our future selves are far better and far more productive than reality. So the best tip that I've come to realize is I need to not beat myself up over, just kind of
I love
celebrate the
that.
wins that you did get in, the things you did cross off the list, and
Mhm.
be okay with it. So
That's so real. I love that.
One of the things that I hear people say quite often is, yeah, there's such these big learning curves, and that keeps them from getting started, or it gets them to stop pretty quickly. Of all the things that you're doing, which one of them has the biggest learning curve?
For me personally, it it was Amazon. Um, I Starting back in 2006 when I did eBay, everything was gut instinct for me. So getting into Amazon and I mean, having that data is such a relief to so many people, but it was so opposite of what I was used to doing. And I think that's why I liked Walmart so much. And it's why I like AIP and UGC because it's more of everything comes from inside. It's my gut instincts that lead me, and it's my ability to talk with people. Where Amazon, it's all data. And yes, I can read a keep a chart at first. Gosh, no, I couldn't. I didn't understand the data behind the buying and the selling and how much to buy. And so for me personally, it was definitely Amazon. It took me a long time to really grasp it. Once I did, I was fine, but it just was a different way of thinking of about something. I like to kind of just think for myself, and instead I needed to rely on data, and that's probably my age, speaking right there. But yeah, for me, it was definitely Amazon. I think now, if you were to ask others, I think UGC and anything having to be in front of a camera is going to be more of a learning curve. You have to learn how to edit. You need to learn lighting. You need to learn how to reach out to a brand, how to negotiate with brands, how to stick up for yourself. And, you're worth a certain amount and those brands will pay it, but they're still going to try and get it cheaper. Like, so that probably would relate to people more now. But for me, it was definitely Amazon.
So one of the interesting things that you said there, which I actually makes me think that UGC may have the biggest moat around it of all of these things, is you need to be on camera more often. And while it's not specifically speaking to an audience, it has a little bit of that same feel. You know, there are more people afraid of speaking in front of a crowd than they are of dying. If I remember that stat correctly, and looking into a camera can sort of have that same thing, especially when you may have to go read the comments later on because people are friggin' brutal. um so how do you get over that, and I guess get comfortable being uncomfortable?
I love that phrase. I use that a lot. And I think it comes with the reps. I've always been a very shy person. I'm an introvert. I mean, when I had to start leading Zooms, I wouldn't eat all day because I felt like I couldn't, right? But it's gotten so much easier, especially over this last year, as you get more involved, as you make more videos, as even if you're just doing them in your house and they're not going anywhere, just sitting in front of your phone and talking to it, having a conversation with your phone, really, it gets easier. And yes, comments from people in the online world are brutal. Um, and that's one of the books that I've been reading over the last few months is I know you'll ask for it later, but it's the subtle art of not giving a duck. That has done so much for me because you can't sweat the little things and they really have no place in your life. So you're doing this to make an income for your family, for yourself. You're building your brand, which other brands want to connect with. And so you're investing in yourself. What else is there? Like I just feel like you need to focus on that and not what everyone else thinks.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the Mark Manson book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 That and I just finished The Courage to Be Disliked. So if you're
Ooh,
looking to back that up after you're finished with Manson's book, um,
definitely.
it's such a trend now to throw the F word in book titles. I actually get like
Right.
confused with the swear where like I read Mark Manson's, but there's so many different ones.
There's so many now. It's
Yeah,
okay.
like Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass. She has like a trilogy of badass titles, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I get lost in them. But
Yeah.
so all right, so it's one thing to have a bunch of stuff going on, right? Have a bunch of plates spinning, but you are very successful with each of them. So that's its own thing. By itself is to actually scale it up to profitability to actually be something. It's you're not just dabbling here. So, um, what was the toughest part of scaling each one of your ventures?
Each one. For Amazon, so what I quickly learned with Amazon, I did the whole scale. I got the warehouse, I got the employees, I hired the shoppers. It was Amazon to the moon, right? I quickly realized that scaling, although it takes time, it wasn't for me. It became a job. I had to make sure I was there to lead my team. I had to make sure I was sourcing enough so they had something to do. So I wasn't just paying for them to stand around. I had to continue to look for wholesale accounts. It kept me it kept me here. It kept me in the warehouse. So scaling for Amazon became something I really didn't want to do. And we got rid of the warehouse. We let the employees go. um, I really want to be remote. So scaling now looks different for me, for Amazon and for Walmart and UGC. It's more about scaling efficiencies than it is scaling the actual day to day and the sales revenue. So the hardest part, I think, like we just talked about, is being efficient and getting the projects done as in a fast quick manner, I guess. I don't even know how to say it, but that for me is my challenge in scaling. It's not finding inventory. You can always source more, but do you want to source more? Do you need to source more? As far as like the brands with the UGC, scaling there looks like it's more emails out to brands, it's more reach social media, it's more on Twitter. You can get your profile out there. It's just getting yourself in front of more eyes. And I have found that using a VA for that definitely helps. But there's still a lot that I have to personally be involved in. So I have to figure out how to remove myself more from each of those platforms. And then the more that I do that, the more time I have to either find new things to do or perfect what it is that I'm doing.
I I like that. There's too much let's scale to the moon and not enough like it's okay to build a business around your lifestyle. Uh there
Yeah.
needs to be more like this business is because I want to pick my kids up from school. I want to, be available, in the mornings or the evenings or whatever it is for family. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to be better about getting that out there.
I think remembering your original why you did it, like you said in the first place, that you can move past that really quickly. I mean, when I was at the
Mhm.
warehouse, I was there from morning until night. I didn't see my kids for a short stretch there. And it was like, wait, what are you doing? This isn't why you signed up. So
So, someone someone watches this video and they want to kind of follow down your path, what is the top one or two pieces of advice that you would give someone wanting to go down the a similar path as you?
Hmm. So I guess it depends which platform. If you're looking to do all three, um, just make sure it's what you really want and you want to invest the time that's needed. And especially for Amazon and Walmart, you have to Walmart especially, you have to have your patience for sure. There's a lot going on with Walmart. Walmart changes, I mean, it feels like daily. So you have to really be willing to change with the platform. Is it going to get better? Yeah, absolutely. They have plans and they're very receptive to feedback. But for right now, you have to be willing to take those risks. Um, and kind of go with the flow. You're just going to have to be a little chill with Walmart. As far as UGC and AIP and all of that, like we talked about, you mentioned earlier, get comfortable with being uncomfortable because for the first bit, it's going to feel awkward and you have to be okay with that. Putting yourself out there is that's been huge for me this year. A year ago, I don't think I could have done that, but baby steps, little by little, put yourself out there a little bit more. I feel like things like Instagram, I mean, Twitter's great. I know a lot of people love Twitter. I feel more comfortable on Instagram. But, put yourself out there, talk about what you're doing every day, create it make it like a blog style, but it gets you comfortable talking to the world, essentially, is what you're doing. Start there, take baby steps, you'll get there, and always reach out if you have questions.
Um, so we talked about a little bit of books. We teased the books. Um, I want to. We always dive into that in every episode. So I'm
Yeah.
curious. Outside of Mark Manson, are there any books, podcasts, or even articles that have had a significant impact on you recently?
It's not necessarily recently. I mean, I feel like I revisit this book a lot, but it's The 4 Hour Work Week, by Tim Ferriss. He I mean, I like to listen to it audible, so if I'm sourcing or something, I'll just stick it in, listen to it. But just that reminder to live in the now, to retire now and do those activities now. I feel like so last November, my mom was living with me on hospice, and that was really eye-opening to me that if you don't take the time to live your life as you're living your life, you might not get that opportunity at the end. So I love that book because it just reminds me to embrace each day and make sure that you're living your fullest each day. And if you want to travel, then find a way to travel. Do it now. Don't wait until, you retire to have fun because what if you're not mobile when you retire? I mean, who knows? So that to me is that changed everything for me. It definitely changed the way I look at my day to day.
Yeah, that's that was a real eye opener. That was at the very beginning. That kind of was where the gate opened, and then I it might have been in the Courage to Be Disliked, but they made a really really good point, and they said, you can't picture your life as linear.
Mm.
He goes, it's actually a series of dots, and each one of those dots is right now. And it's only afterwards, after you're done and you take a step back, that you see what your line looks like. So you can't approach your life like it's going to be a line. It's
So smart.
fascinating. I was like, that is fantastic. I mean, that's been sitting with me ever since I
That's real.
got to
Yeah.
that part.
Love that.
So,
So true.
yep.
I know that there are going to be people who want to learn more about you. They want to throw you a follow. Where can people go to join your group or follow you on social media?
So Instagram, I'm arbitrage.avenue, I believe, and then Twitter, arbitrage avenue, YouTube, arbitrage avenue. But I did start this summer in July, I started a free Facebook group for Walmart sellers specifically, to help with the struggles because I mean it's tough. So if you want to look up the Walmart Sellers Network, it's a free Facebook group. Come on in. We have a lot of great people willing to help you in there. And then I also have the Sellers Network Discord that I run with Chaz and Ryan. And we are more of a community versus bolos and stuff for all sellers, eBay, Walmart, Amazon, fitness, all that. So I feel like I'm everywhere, so you can find me.
Perfect. And I'll make sure that everything is down below in the
Awesome.
video description. So be links to join everywhere. So we always end with, or we try to always end with, a quote of the week. And as I was trying to figure out who we should quote this week, Warren Buffett came to mind. And he says, never depend on a single income, make an investment to create a second source. And I think you're kind of living that uh, very well. So Sarah,
I love it.
this was great. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little while and talking about
Thank
all these
you.
things. A little eye opening.
Thanks for having me. This was a blast. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's it for this week. We will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Clear the Shelf with Chris and Chris. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot on your phone and share it to Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite FBA group, and be sure to tag me and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear more from us in the future. Also, I'd like to give you some free gifts for listening. Head over to rabbittrailchallenge.com and repricerchallenge.com for some free courses to further your business. Thanks for listening.